then he became a completely perfect devotee, just by hearing within the womb. So Shukadeva was born a perfect devotee of Kṛṣṇa. So he had no attraction at all to material household affairs. And as soon as possible, he left home. And he just engaged in devotional service. So he was wandering around naked in the forest. And then when he came, he met Maharaj Parikshit, right at the time when Maharaj Parikshit was getting ready to fast until death. And then he spoke Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So even though Vyasadeva was present, the author of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam was present, Shukadeva was the one who actually spoke it. Because he had realized this transcendental literature perfectly. Shuka means parrot. So just like a parrot can repeat very nicely anything that he hears, Shukadeva Goswami was repeating what he had heard in the womb from his father. And also the knowledge is there that when the mango is cut by the beak of the parrot, it becomes sweeter, because the saliva of the parrot has some enzyme that transforms the inside of the mango. So the mango that has been cut by the beak of the parrot is considered an extraordinary delicacy in India. This property is also there with Shukadeva, who was very, very sweet, speaking this transcendental knowledge of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And so he had gotten this state of realization simply by the mercy of his father, who is an incarnation of God. So he's another example of a devotee who attained perfection simply by mercy. He didn't have to undergo any sadhana or any reformatory practices in the present lifetime. Eternal perfection. Persons who have achieved eternal blissful life exactly on the level of Sri Kṛṣṇa, and who are able to attract Lord Kṛṣṇa by their transcendental loving service, are called eternally perfect. The technical name is Nitya Siddha. There are two classes of living entities, namely Nitya Siddha and Nitya Baddha. The distinction is that the Nitya Siddhas are eternally Kṛṣṇa conscious, without any forgetfulness, whereas the Nitya Baddhas, or eternal conditioned souls, are forgetful of their relationship with Kṛṣṇa. The position of the Nitya Siddhas is explained in the Padma Purana in connection with the narration of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and Satyabhama Devi. The Lord tells Satyabhama, "My dear Satyabhama Devi, I have descended to this earthly planet by the request of Lord Brahma and other demigods. Those who are born into this family of Yadu are all my eternal associates. My dear wife, you should not consider that my associates are ever separated from me. They are my personal expansions, and as such, you must know that they are almost as powerful as I am. Because of their transcendental qualities, they are very, very dear to me, and I am very, very dear to them. Anyone who becomes exhilarated by hearing of the pastimes of Lord Kṛṣṇa when he was present on this earth with his associates is to be understood as Nitya Siddha, eternally perfect." That's the quality of an eternally perfect soul. He becomes exhilarated when hearing about Kṛṣṇa. He gets so excited and so just flushed with bliss that his hair stands on end, and he begins to, his eyes fill with tears, and his voice chokes up, and his intelligence becomes stunned, and he simply wants to hear more and more. In the 10th canto, 14th chapter, verse 32 of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, there is this statement: "How wonderful are the fortunate residents of Vrindavan, such as Nanda and the other cowherd men. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Brahman, has actually become their intimate friend. So this is the condition of any perfect devotee, whether Nitya Siddha or Sadhana Siddha. Sadhana Siddha means someone who has become perfected by means of performing regular devotional service and spontaneous devotional service, and finally attaining the mercy of Bhagavan in this lifetime. Nitya Siddha means someone who is already a perfect devotee and descends usually along with Kṛṣṇa, or is sent by Kṛṣṇa to perform some specific mission. A good example of that class of devotees is Śrīla Prabhupada himself. Śrīla Prabhupada was never a conditioned soul. He was born already in perfect Kṛṣṇa consciousness and manifested all the qualities of a pure devotee from his very childhood. So we can understand that Śrīla Prabhupada was Nitya Siddha, an eternal associate of the Lord. The difference between Nitya Siddha and Sadhana Siddha is that the Sadhana Siddha is born as a conditioned soul, and by performance of devotional service earns the status of being an associate, an intimate friend of the Supreme Lord. And then the next lifetime, he goes to either, he goes directly to the spiritual world, or he may go to a place in the material world where the Lord is descending as an avatar and manifesting his transcendental pastimes. And then he meets the Lord there, and the Lord then sets him up to go back to the spiritual world. A similar statement is there in the 10th canto, 26th chapter, verse 10 of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. When Lord Kṛṣṇa lifted Govardhana hill, the cowherd men, under the protection of Lord Kṛṣṇa, became struck with wonder and went to Nanda Maharaj and inquired from him, "My dear Nanda Maharaj, how is it that we are so intensely attached to Kṛṣṇa, and that Kṛṣṇa is also so affectionately attached to us? Does it mean that he is the super soul of everyone?" Very nice. Try to understand. The cowherd men, they were seeing Kṛṣṇa lifting Govardhan hill with one finger and remaining so steady like that, and protecting all the residents of Vrindavan from the rainfall of Indra. So they became so astonished by this extreme mercy of Kṛṣṇa that they went to Nanda Maharaj and they're saying, well, you know, why is Kṛṣṇa doing this? Is he super soul? That he has so much affection for us, and we have so much affection for him. They even had more affection for Kṛṣṇa than for their own children. So when they saw Kṛṣṇa acting so mercifully, they became astonished, because they realized that actually Kṛṣṇa was reciprocating those same feelings with them. And so they went to Nanda Maharaj, who was their leader, the king. Maharaj means king, great king. And they expressed this sentiment so nicely. All the residents of Vrindavan and Dwarka, namely the cowherd men and the members of the Jadu dynasty, are eternally perfect devotees of the Lord. As the Lord descends by his causeless mercy upon this planet, so in order to help in the pastimes of the Lord, these devotees also come here. They are not ordinary living entities or conditioned souls. They are ever liberated persons, associates of the personality of Godhead. And just as Lord Kṛṣṇa behaves like an ordinary man when he descends to this planet, so the members of the Jadu dynasty and the residents of Vrindavan execute activities just like ordinary men. But they are not ordinary men. They are as liberated as Lord Kṛṣṇa himself. In the Padma Purana, Uttarakhanda section, it is stated, just as Lord Ramachandra descends along with Lakshman, an expansion of Sankarshan, and Bharata, an expansion of Pradyumna, So the members of the Jadu dynasty and the cowherd men of Vrindavan also descend with Lord Kṛṣṇa in order to join in the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. When the Supreme Lord returns to his eternal abode, his associates return with him to their respective places. As such, these ever-liberated Vaishnavas are not bound by the material laws of birth and death. So this is the exalted position of the pure devotees of the Lord. They descend to this planet along with the Lord to help him in his pastimes. And when those pastimes are complete, then they return with him to the spiritual world, where they remain eternally engaged in those same pastimes that are so sweet and so wonderful. So the one thing that might require a little explanation here is that Lord Ramachandra